Hello and welcome to Dynamic DCUO. Valmy here, and with me is Ramadou, and we're going to take you through the flight mode a little bit. Wind already covered super speed and acrobatics, so we're going to talk about flight, which has been my preference for most all my tunes. Skimming is really the same. In the powers, we have Dive Bomb, which knocks back enemies. If you do it, you really just hit down on your arrow and then go swoop in. Whirlwind Attack, which you see a lot of folks using, does a really good job of knocking things down. The Downdraft is your ranged, and that's all you got. It's a slow thing. Swoop Attack is nice because it zooms you right into the middle of the action. And the meat and potatoes is going to be your high pressure and low pressure. The low pressure will pull things in, and the high pressure blows things out again. But they interact off of each other. That's kind of like a power interaction. So those two and the whirlwind attack are really the main three things that I wind up using. The air burst looks really nice. It's got a nice little effect too, and it's a good control effect. Or if you're just getting mobbed. I've got one of the supercharges queued up. I don't know why, because I never used any of it. But I was playing around with this loadout just to see what it would be like, and I will show you the things that I liked and didn't like. Now with flight right off, lets you stand in the middle of an open area high above where you can get to anything and see anything. Here it is, you going in with the swoop attack, the whirlwind, and the high and low pressure. So it's pretty straightforward as far as how that works.
For sure. I bet this kind of thing happened.
There I tried using the range, which does multiple targets, but it has a slow cycle time, so it's not great if that's your only ranged option. So if you're doing it in conjunction with other powers, it might be fine. Now here I went into the Themyscira solo just to give you some more realistic combat options. The swoop is really nice for knocking things down, getting them off of you, and does a good bit of damage as well. And if you're like me and you like to dive right into the middle of things, it's a wonderful loadout for that because you're diving in, you're whirling around, and the high and low pressure are also both immediate area type things. Now, the whirlwind, as you can see, does no good whatsoever if you're not right on top of your target. If you're in the middle of a group, it's great. If you're standing off to the side, they can just look at you and laugh. Now, for Grail, I did put my artifact back on and actually even use a trinket so you can tell when you saw me use a trinket. There it is, trinket. Now I didn't have a whole lot of trouble with Grail, but then again I'm a fair bit higher for this zone. And the knockback, knockdown stuff I think works pretty well on this. The only thing I ran into trouble with is it's right about here when I go to get the crystal, and then I decide, oh, let's do some range things, and I do my one range, and I've got nothing else until it recycles. So just doing blasters at her. But that gets old. So swoop in, whirlwind, high pressure, low pressure. And whether you do the low or the high pressure first, I don't think really matters. Might be situational. Just keep in mind the high pressure blows things away from you and the low pressure pulls them in. So just depending on where you're at with your rotation or your whirlwind, you may prefer to do one or the other. Skimming works exactly the same. There's no powers that are different. The only thing different is the visual of standing instead of flying. But otherwise works exactly the same. The only time skimming has any sort of issue is if you're trying to fly through a narrow hole somewhere. Then you might have an issue if you've got a tall character. But otherwise, I like flight. I use it on all my tunes. So hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. And as always, happy gaming.